As we all know, the Warriors have won 3 of the first 4 games in the finals in back-to-back seasons. But while the Cavs kept the pace slow and the scoring down last year, both teams are averaging at least 16 more points per game this year than they did through 4 games of the 2016 finals. We got you covered with Mark Spears on the Warriors and Brian Windhorst reporting on the Cavaliers. Let's start with Mark Spears this morning, senior writer for The Undefeated. Mark, last season, Draymond Green was suspended for Game 5 of the NBA Finals. You know Draymond very well. How much does he want to win tonight to get that vindication?
Well, after the last game, he kept saying over and over, I'm playing in Game 5 this time, I'm playing in Game 5 this time. And what he was referring to was last year being suspended. He was actually next door to Oracle Arena, sitting in a suite watching the A's play with Marshawn Lynch in his suite. It was at that time that he also watched Bogut get hurt, and he was out. So that's something that's going to haunt him for the rest of his life. But poetically for him, if he could win in Game 5 and get the Warriors that championship, and I think he'll vindicate himself a lot.
All right, yesterday Warriors head coach Steve Kerr wore a Warriors supervillain t-shirt to the press conference. What more can you tell us about how Golden State is embracing the notion that they're the villains?
Well, somebody just made a lot of money on T-shirts in the Bay Area, I'm sure. Steve's been having fun with that since the press conference when he was asked if they're the super team. He certainly loves it, and you know, anything, he probably wanted to kind of lighten the mood after getting blown out the last game and just kind of get these guys back focused. This is a team that loves to play loose, loves to listen to rap music at practice, and you can see him there just kind of chilling, joking around. I think it was a ploy to kind of lighten the mood for the team and perhaps troll some people as well.
Yeah, the Warriors gave up 49 points in the first quarter of Game 4 and never recovered. So, Mark, what must Golden State do better out of the gate tonight?
Well, Tony, I think you just mentioned it right there. This is supposedly the best defensive team in the league, and the best defensive team in the league just gave up the most embarrassing offensive outbursts in the history of the NBA. 32 three-pointers. I know people want to talk about the refs. The refs didn't, stop the Cavs from hitting threes. And so the Warriors have to be 10 times better defensively. They'll be at home. The role players will probably be better. And I think they just got to be themselves in the same way that they were in Games 1 and 2. And if they do that with the crowd pushing them forward, I think they got a good shot at winning tonight.
There you have it, Mark Spears getting us ready for Game 5. You can catch more of Mark on Coast to Coast coming up in the next hour. Now for the Cavs side of it, we're going to welcome in our reporter Brian Windhorst from Oakland. Wendy, Kevin Durant and Steph Curry only made 13 of 35 field goals in Game 4. Why was the Cavaliers defense so effective against that duo?
Yeah, Tony, they made a defensive adjustment, really they're rolling the dice here. They decided to do more double teaming of Kevin Durant and Steph Curry to try to trap them to give the ball up. It's a dangerous strategy against the Warriors because they have developed ways to beat it, specifically by using Draymond Green. Draymond Green was the #1 three-point shooter for the Warriors coming into the finals, but he hasn't shot the ball well, 5 of 20. The Cavs have been getting away with focusing more on Curry and Durant because Green hasn't burned them. And I think that they'll continue that strategy tonight and just hope that the Green slump continues.
All right, yesterday Cavs head coach Ty Lue was asked about the physical play in Game 4 versus the first 3 games in the series. Here's what he said.
I thought the first 2 games were being too nice. The first 3 games, helping guys up off the floor, smiling, talking to guys, and yeah, I didn't like that. So I'll take Game 4 over anything else. Of talking trash, being physical, whatever you got to do to try to get that edge to win, you got to do it.
Whatever you got to do. Brian, what edge does that physicality give the Cavaliers?
Well, one of the things that was happening early in this series was the Warriors were really beating the Cavs to loose balls and rebounds, something that's not used to happening to them. The Warriors, for example, are a bottom 10 offensive rebounding team, and they were killing the Cavs on the offensive boards. So what Ty Lue really wanted his Cavs to do was to be physical and more mean from the start of the game. And whether that made a huge difference in Game 4 or not, there was definitely a different mantra for the team. You can see Tristan Thompson completely taking a different tact early in the game. And whether helping up the opponent or not, helped the Cavs hit all those threes, he liked the demeanor that they approached Game 4 with. He wants them to bring it again tonight.
The Cavaliers, of course, came back from a 3-1 deficit last year in the NBA Finals to defeat the Warriors, starting with a Game 5 win in Oakland. How much confidence, Brian, does that give the Cavs team this time around?
You know, I know that's what everybody thinks about, 3-1 again, coming back for Game 5 again, but every time you bring this up to somebody in the Cavs organization, they will say the same thing. This year is different. The teams are different. The situations are different. A lot of that revolves around Kevin Durant. I will say the Cavs have played better for sure every single game. 2, they were better. 3, they were even better. 4, they obviously won. They do feel like they have some confidence, but they recognize that the challenge that they're going to face tonight is the biggest challenge they've faced in any of the last 3 finals to get a win, and that has nothing to do with last year.
Once again, Brian Windhorst with the very latest and the insight. Thank you, Brian. You can see more of Brian at the top of the hour on Coast to Coast. Randy?
All right, Tony, let's welcome in Chris Herring. He's our senior sports writer for 538. And Chris, the Cavs' chances to extend this series, they clearly rest on LeBron James. What do your metrics tell us about LeBron's past performances when facing elimination?
Well, they're the really basic numbers that we've seen before that aren't new to anybody. The idea that he's the highest scoring player in NBA history, I think, with a minimum of 5 games in elimination contests. So that's the one part that we do know. What's interesting about him, though, is the fact that he's actually more of a facilitator than normal in the playoffs. You see his assist percentage jump from about 32, 33% up to 40% in these elimination games. And so it's not just a matter of him looking to score every single time he touches the ball. And LeBron's never really been that sort of player, except for maybe that Game 6 against Boston years ago where he went for 45 and 15. But when you watch what he's doing from game to game, especially with the Warriors, since that they were the 3-1 hole last year, he is constantly stepping up, not only as a scorer, but also as a passer, and giving his team a lot of scoring opportunities along the way.
When you study the metrics, I'm curious about the passing specifically, because as you said, he doesn't just take over a game by scoring. When he does spread the ball around, I'm curious if he has a favorite target, a favorite area of the floor, favorite situation in which he likes to set up. Can you shed more light there?
Well, when you watch the last game specifically, I mean, he's just so smart, and I think his IQ is off the charts compared to a lot of the other players that you see out there on the floor. And particularly, there was one play where you watched Kyrie dribble into a trap, and basically they found nothing out of it. And then the very next play, LeBron comes up, and he's got an opportunity. He sees them setting up the same way defensively, Curry cheating over into the lane, and then LeBron just finding a really smart pass to the corner to J.R. Smith. And so he's someone that reads the game very well, but he's also someone that knows the sort of attention that he demands from defenses, and so he's able to kind of pick teams apart when they overplay him. And that's something that, with as much as Kyrie and LeBron handle the ball, that they're always looking to kind of cheat over to LeBron or to help on to LeBron with the second defender. And so he always knows that there's someone open, and that's where they're most dangerous, when they can actually knock down shots, because he's got so many options on the floor. And that was what changed most in Game 3, is that he just had so many targets to hit, and they were all knocking down their shots for once.
Chris Herring, senior sports writer for 538. Chris, we always appreciate the insight. Thank you so much.